Raise your voices, raise your glass high. Welcome to the Drink O'Clock Podcast. Let's dive. Oh, grab an old fashioned and join the fray. Raise your spirits, let the music play. From the corner pub to the dance hall floor. Drink O'Clock Podcast, we're ready for more.
Welcome to the Drink O'Clock Podcast. I'm your host, Rob Valincius, and I have fucking Bum Wine Bob. I'm fucking excited to have you on, brother. How is your evening, sir?
I'm doing good. Happy to be here, man. Yeah, we've been going back and forth for a little while saying, hey, we got to do a podcast together.
Yeah.
And now, here we are. We're
Figures
ready to
our
go.
shit, like, melds pretty well, right?
I know, drinking. I'm Bob, you're Rob. So I mean it's a match
Both have
made in
beards?
heaven. Exactly. I mean, and we're both, I mean, I have a hat on, but we both have the hair thing
It's
going
been
on.
gone for a while.
We don't need to. We won't get into that. And I did want to match your background over there. I mean, I was pregame. I mean, yes, this looks like a can of Mountain Dew, but I did pour in a little Southern Comfort in here as a little podcast pregame, so I could match that green background I'm so accustomed to seeing over there.
Cheers, brother.
Cheers.
Ooh. So,
what are you drinking over there?
well, here's the thing. I can't taste it because unfortunately, I have COVID, and for the second time. And my taste is just gone. Now, for those of you out there that aren't drinkers, it's a blessing and a curse, because when you can't taste anything, boy, do things go down very easily.
Exactly. At that point, you can drink whatever you want. I mean, I have a whole lineup here of empty stuff that I've been drinking on my show for the past couple of weeks. Or I have like some. I got some bourbon over here. I got some Quarter Horse bourbon out here. So, but yes, I know what you're saying. You can just drink and drink and be like, okay, tastes fine to me. I can't taste anything.
You just feel a little bit of the burn, but you know.
Mm-hmm.
And here's the thing. So this is an old fashioned, and I really enjoy this old fashioned because I drink them typically once a week. So it's really bothering me that I can't fucking taste it. But whatever. I'm over it. I'm on like the end of it. 2 days ago I was fucking dying. I was like sweating buckets, and I had the shakes, and oh dude, it was and I'm vaccinated, which is even fucking worse. I never wanted to fucking do that to begin with, but I've only ever gotten COVID after I was vaccinated, so go figure. Fucking great vaccine,
exactly
people.
How it works, you see.
Great fucking vaccine, you fucking cocksuckers. Anyway, so Bum Wine Bob, you're a bum wine connoisseur. You're a bottom shelf booze expert, which I fucking love. I love that statement, by the way. You're a podcaster for your podcast Bumming with Bobcat, and your co-host is Roadhouse.
Yep.
And you're sponsored by Fort Loco, which is pretty fucking cool.
I got the hat here. I got a sticker too. I mean, only the best here that they hook you up with there. And I got, as I said, I got remnants here of some previous podcasts. I got my Four Loco cans over here.
Your Jungle Juice episode was pretty funny. I was actually fucking dying from that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I had little peek behind the curtain here. Yes, we did the Jungle Juice, this guy here, and then a Four Loco Jungle Juice to compare the two drinks. And the aftermath was me throwing up. So that's what happens. Do not mix the two. We mixed the two together.
Oh.
And that was probably it didn't taste bad. It really wasn't that bad of a drink, but the aftermath, and it was like those two. I had a PBR earlier and a Miller Lite that I was sipping on during it. So it's not like I drank like a ton of other stuff with it, but it was just the combination of those two. Because after we were done recording, I then was out there, sitting here, and sometimes you have that buzz going, and you're just like, okay, I want to keep it going. It's a Friday night.
Especially Friday night. Oh.
Yeah. Just like I'm just hanging out. So you start going on YouTube. You're watching videos. You're listening to music, and then I saw some people I know were streaming live. So I'm like, hey, let me join in. I'm gonna join in with those guys. So I'm on one live stream with my buddy Uncle, and then their show ends. I go to the next one. I find somebody else. They're doing some malt liquor. I'm like, I'm hopping in on that one, and a couple hours go by, and then you go to stand up, and you're like,
whoa,
oh no, this is not good. I go upstairs, and that's when you feel the rumble, and you're like, oh shit, this is coming up. And next thing you know, you go into the bathroom, and we don't need to go into any more detail. You know what happens after that point.
What's the worst thing you've ever thrown up?
The worst thing, at least one of the first things that I drank and threw up, and one of those that was on like the no-fly list for the longest time, was probably in my teenage years, was doing shots of Absolute Citron, like during the craze of like, but Absolute vodka was like the biggest thing around. They had all the different flavors. Yeah. And a buddy of mine, him and his parents had gone on a cruise somewhere and came back with like all these bottles of booze, and we would have parties, and we were probably somewhere between 18 and 21 at that point. So at that point, you're just drinking whatever you can get your hands on, and we were just taking shots of this Absolute Citron, and we're at this party, and there's this girl sitting on a couch, and all of a sudden she just turns to her side and just starts throwing up on the floor, and I try to be like the nice guy, and I'm like, okay, don't worry, I'll clean this up. So I'm trying to clean up everything, get it all cleaned up. The second I go outside, mine comes right out.
You're smelling hers too, dude, and other vomit just makes you want to vomit. Mm-hmm. But I had a citron experience myself. It was actually, I think, one of the first things I ever got drunk on. I don't know. I believe it was Absolute. It could have been something else, but I think it was Absolute because it was pretty cheap too.
Yeah.
It wasn't too crazy. It was a bottom shelf, but it wasn't top shelf.
Exactly. It was like that mid-level.
Yeah, it was a mid. And I got fucking wasted with a friend that was he lived like eight doors down from my house, and I was eating cheese fries. It was hilarious. And then, so in my mind, I was like, all right, I got to pee. So I go into the bathroom, I'm peeing, I see the toilet, everything's going great. But what was really happening is I was actually facing the opposite direction, and I was just pissing all over the floor. And mind you, I'm 14. So like, you know, it's like you're a kid and you're obliterated. So like, I'm just in my head, and I still remember it to this day. I'm like, oh man, I don't know how I wasn't peeing in the toilet, because I saw the toilet, and in my head I'm peeing in the toilet, but I wasn't. I was the opposite direction, pissing on the floor. That was my first drunk experience. But the second part to this question is, what's the worst food you've ever thrown up due to alcohol?
Ooh, that's a good one. I mean,
I'll tell you mine, so you can think about it.
Yeah.
I once pre-gamed. So, what state are you in?
New Jersey.
That's what I thought.
Yeah.
So, because I saw your show, I saw some stuff about the Jets. I'm like, all right, he's a Jersey guy. So I pre-gamed. There's a famous buffet in Pennsylvania called Shady Maple Smorgasbord. I don't know if you've ever heard of it.
Never heard of it, but I like that name. That's a great name.
Smorgasbord.
Shady Maples, you said?
Shady Maple Smorgasbord.
Smorgasbord. Okay. All right. I like where this is going so far. We're at a good spot.
The Amish run it. Okay.
Okay.
It's legit. It is hands down the best buffet. Like, if you wanted to ever make like a trip to eat some fucking banging buffet food, this place is wild. It's right by Intercourse, Pennsylvania, and Blue Ball. Literally, they actually intercourse each other.
That's right where it meets up.
Yeah.
Is right there.
I bowled actually once at Blue Ball Bowling Lanes. Hilarious. But this place is amazing. Well, I decided as a dumb young guy, I think I was 22, and we were going up with some friends. I pre-gamed. So, but at the time, what I was doing is this was when vanilla soda was popular with vanilla vodka.
Okay.
Or whipped. I'm sorry, whipped. This is when whipped vodka was big.
Yep.
So this was like 2009, 2010.
Yeah, I was gonna say I've been there too. I was at all those bars at the time where I got like the free shot glasses and everything, all like the swag when they would have the girls there promoting it, doing free shots, and all that. So I'm with you. I know where you're at.
Pinnacle whipped was like the thing, right?
Yeah.
You know, you had a chocolate covered pretzel shot. You had some pretty delicious shots. Well, what I would do is I'd take the whipped vodka and I would mix it with vanilla cream soda, and it was amazing. However, you couldn't taste any vodka, so I would pour so much in there. Well, I got obliterated before we got there. Like, I was fucking wasted. I wasn't driving, thank God. And so the first thing you do when you're drunk is you want to eat a ton of carbs. So my plate had like chicken fingers, French fries, and a boatload of mashed potatoes. And the last thing I ate was the mashed potatoes. And I got sick. So I'm like, all right, I got to go throw up. So I go into the bathroom, and I'm basically passed out on the toilet. But I remember throwing up the mashed potatoes. And because I had just eaten them, they were rolling like a snail out of my mouth. It was the most disgusting. And once again, I'll be 38. This was literally almost 20 years ago, and I still remember it to this day. It's the most disgusting. Yeah. Like, I've thrown up plenty of things that hurt, like throwing up pasta sucks. You know, throwing up certain things.
Anything when it's the acidic and it's just when it burns coming up and it's just the worst feeling in the world.
Throwing up freshly eaten mashed potatoes that are Amish made from like legit potatoes, dude. It was like I'm like throwing up, and it's just like, you know, it's like it's just not coming out fast enough. You're just like, oh, this is fucking disgusting. Moral of the story: don't get wasted before you go to an excellent buffet. My buddy actually had to crawl under the stall to wake me up because I passed out on the toilet throwing up, and then we went out and partied later on. I don't know how you do that shit in your 20s, dude. It's absurd. Now I get if I get obliterated, I'm done for like 3 days.
Exactly. You know? That next day, even like I told you, my incident last week, the next morning was rough, and I was going to a Memorial Day party at a friend's house, and still took it pretty easy. I mean, we were throwing back some. A buddy of mine brought some Coors Banquet beers, and you can't turn down any Banquet beers. No. And but those things go down so smooth. It's like it's that Rocky Mountain water. It doesn't faze you. But I think that was the last time I drank since then was last Saturday. So, and in that case, it's time to crack open a cold one.
You gotta make up for lost time there, bro.
I know. You see? Cheers.
So, I got to drink if you cheers me. Those are the rules on
those
the show.
Those are the rules, man.
I don't make them. I just abide by them.
I know. And
so,
I'd have to coordinate with my my poster in the background.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
To have the PBR here.
Look, PBR is just one of those beers that's always one of the cheapest things you can get, and it's typically cold, and it's never bad. You never have a bad PBR, man.
Yeah,
you know, and
basic beers. That's what I like. I want a beer that tastes like a beer.
I'm a basic bitch,
anything
dude.
Fancy. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm a basic bitch. Like, you know, I've been made fun of for years, but like, I drink Bud Lights, I drink Miller Lights, Michelob Ultras. That's just what I like to drink because I could drink 20 of them. Like when we went to a family event, I bought a 30-pack of Michelob Ultra, and I could fit 27 of them in this like cooler bag I had, and we Ubered, so I could drink whatever I want. Between me and the wifey, we drank probably 11 each in like a 6-hour period.
Okay.
And we also pre-gamed. So, but like Michelob Ultras go down. I mean, there's
There's
nothing to it.
There's nothing to it. Yeah.
Yeah. You know, but let's talk a little bit about you, man. You know, my first question to you, sir, is where'd the Bumwine Bob persona come from? How do you get started?
Well, I had a affinity for cheap booze and cheap alcohol before any of this even started. So it really, the real origin of it came from the Night Train Express. And you know the song Night Train by Guns N' Roses, which is about the night train, which I got down here, which is this guy right here, the Night Train Express, the legendary cheap wine. And
oh, that looks
we had
delicious.
so, I know it is. See, I know. So a buddy of mine was like, "Have you ever had this before?" And this was back in 2010. And he said, "I know a place where we can get this. I'm gonna get it and we'll try it out." And this was actually for my bachelor party. We picked up Night Train Express and had it for the first time. We were down in Atlantic City, so we
fucking
cracked
AC,
open.
baby.
So
AC.
we're in the hotel room. We cracked that open, and I had that first sip, and you felt the warmth of it just overtake you. And next thing you know, I'm running down the hall of the hotel, going into the elevator on the railing, shaking it as if I'm the Ultimate Warrior, getting amped up to go downstairs to go gamble and hang out, do whatever we were doing. So pretty much from that point of trying that, I then made it my mission, in a sense, to try all the other cheap fortified wines like Thunderbird, MD 2020, Cisco, Wild Irish Rose, all the things that were on the. If you ever been to bumwine.com, which was this original website from like 2003 that featured all these cheap bottom shelf wines, and they had like this lineup of all 5 of them, and I was like, shit, I want to try all these out and give them a shot. And my friends are like, what is wrong with you? Why are you drinking this? I'm like, don't worry, this will all pay off one day. So it took a few years, and then I came up with the idea of, and just one night sitting, I think laying in bed, I was like, what if I had a late night talk show where I had guests on and we talked about these cheap drinks. And then all of a sudden I was like, well, at the time, this was before podcasting really had taken off to where it is now. And I said, well, let me start a blog. I'll start a blog first. I'll write about it, try to gain a following, because not many people are out there writing about this cheap stuff. You see people talk about craft beer, all this other higher end stuff. But where's the love for the bottom shelf? So started with that, and then that was 10 years ago in 2014, coming up with the website at bumwinebob.com. And then in 2015, I started with the podcast and running it as like a radio show at the time, where you do it live, have callers, and just kind of shoot the breeze for a half hour with it. And then it kind of just evolved. And where the actual, it was just like, what's my name? I'm Bob, Bumwine Bob. A friend of mine called me Bobcat for whatever reason as a nickname. So I was like, oh, bumming with Bobcat. Like, it all works out. So that's kind of the Cliff Notes shortened version of how we got to where we are today.
The origin story, I love it. So tell me what the hangover is like from that fucking night train. It's got to be pretty bad, right?
Oh, yeah. Depending on when we were talking about throwing up and drunk stories in Atlantic City, this was a few years after my first experience with it. I was down there again for a friend of mine for his bachelor party, and we picked up a case of Night Train, so 12 bottles to bring down with us. And on our way down, we stopped at a liquor store, and they had the smaller bottles. Like, this is the 750 milliliter. They had the little smaller 350s. So we're like, well, shit, you can't not buy it. It's smaller. You can carry it around with you and drink it. Yeah. So we picked up a couple of those, got that to Atlantic City. This was on a Thursday afternoon. We got down there. We're hanging out, crack it open, start drinking it, go down to the casino. We have the bottle with us, the little one, going around drinking it. Finished the one little bottle, went upstairs, refilled it with the big bottle to bring it back down.
Bro move, I like it.
And probably by about 9 p.m., I was gone, and my other friends start showing up. We're in the hotel room. I'm just sitting there in the chair in the room, and I look over, and my one friend's like, "Hey man, are you okay?" And I'm like, I stand up, and I said, I have to go let some passengers off. And I went into the bathroom and proceeded to violently throw up. And I think I might have locked the door, too, so nobody could get in there.
Good move.
People knocking like, hey, are you okay? I'm like, I'm fine. Just leave me here. So I throw up. I stumble back out. I lay in the bed, and I'm passed out. And my one other friend was on his way down at the time. He shows up. There is pictures that he took of me and videos of me snoring. I'm in the bed. I'm fully clad. My glasses are on. I'm just laying back. Shoes, shirt, button-down shirt, like ready to go out. Like, I was just done. And I woke up at maybe 2, 3 in the morning, and I couldn't find my glasses because I had taken them off and I had put them in the drawer in the
Jesus.
And I wake my friend. I'm like, where are my glasses? And my friend's like, what are you talking about? He's like, you put them in the drawer. And I go in, I look, and I'm like, oh, okay. And I fall back asleep. And that was probably one of those 3-day. That was a Thursday night. Friday, Saturday, I was like dead. I tried. I mean, I still tried to drink, and I was trying to find whatever I could do to cure it, but that was just an overkill of Night Train Express that if you go too far with that stuff, it puts a real hurting on you.
If you take the Express, don't expect to come back anytime soon.
Yeah, no. That's a one-way trip to nowhere.
We used to, me and my buddy Ryan, we would drink. I mean, we were in our early 20s, and it was just me and him in his apartment. I moved in, and it was a terrible idea. It was an awful, awful idea. And we didn't have money. We were pretty poor. You know, we paid our bills. We worked all the time.
Yeah, you just scrape up the change you have left over to buy whatever booze you can.
I was his boss, so like I worked at GameStop at the time. I was the store manager. He was my assistant, I think. He was either my assistant or my third key, like my third supervisor. And it wasn't okay for us to live together, but we didn't tell anybody for a while. And what ended up happening was we just found this like happy medium of eating either pizza, Taco Bell, and we would drink Vladimir vodka, which is basically nail polish remover in the vodka world, mm-hmm. right?
Is there like another one in the big plastic jug type thing?
Yeah. It's Vladimir, Nikolai. I mean, a lot of it's like, obviously fake Russian names that
mm-hmm.
is made, and they like, it's some scientist that's like, it's not nail polish remover, it's vodka,
Yeah, don't worry, it's not rubbing alcohol, but it's pretty damn close.
And we would put that shit in the freezer, and we would drink it, but it was I mean, and I drank that stuff too when I was a little bit younger, because obviously the cheaper booze is all you can get.
Mm-hmm.
And I would drink that. I remember one time I would drink that with my buddy Brian. We would go to the movies and we would do Wawa fruit punch, and we would just take a fucking Wawa fruit punch like half gallon and just pour vodka in it. And we would bring that into the movie theater and we would get loaded, and we would almost certainly one of us would vomit from that every time. Like, it is. I can't imagine what my actual liver looks like. I actually make fun of it. I tell people now my liver probably has absorbed other organs at this point.
It's all one big one now.
yeah, it's a super liver. It's fine.
Yeah,
It's like AI. It's not going to hurt anything.
It builds character.
So for the audience, can you explain what bum wine is? Because I'm not going to lie, I've never heard that term until really kind of researching like kind of what you do and what those brands are.
Right. The bum wine itself, the name really is just a slang term for cheap fortified wine. And it's essentially like the cheapest process of making wine possible. Like these here, I'm trying to think. One of these, I believe, said what it is, and it's essentially just cheap sugar, the cheapest wine possible to make. I mean, if you can look, and I can see really quick here, like fortified wine. Yeah, fortified wine is a wine that contains a distilled spirit like brandy. They different flavor based on their ingredients and degree of fermentation. Though moderate intake of fortified wine may offer health benefits, drinking it in excess may harm your health.
Weird.
So, yeah, I don't think there's really any benefit of drinking this. Drinking it in excess may harm your health. Yes, for sure, that 100% is true. I would believe that. And it's essentially just cheap ass wine. Really is what it comes down to. Cheap ass wine. People would call it ghetto wines, bum wines. That's just the terminology of whoever came up with that years ago. Which is because it was that's what the bums would pick up, would be whatever they had, whatever change they could get for a couple bucks, a bottle of Night Train or something similar and remember, this is at 17.5% alcohol.
That's fucking crazy.
Yeah, so it's going to get you drunk.
That's going to get you fucked up, man.
Yeah, mm-hmm, yeah.
Holy shit.
Yeah,
my dad, we would, when I was younger, before I was 21, we would pay my dad, and sometimes he would get us, he would get us booze, right? But he was busting his ass, and he was fucking. I come from a poor family, and he would try to play shit off. He would get us fucking MD 2020. He'd get us some Mad Dog, and I'd say to him like, Dad, we're not idiots. We know this shit is $4, and we gave you 20. And you just pocketed $15 after tax.
Yeah. See, look, you're coming up with this. Like, what are you doing?
What's the red? Is the red one fruit punch?
Which red do you want? There's a banana red. There's a strawberry kiwi.
Maybe it was a strawberry kiwi.
Might be that. Yeah, there's no actual fruit punch flavor.
I think it was strawberry kiwi.
There's a dragon fruit. Maybe that one. There's dragon fruit.
It's hilarious you have all those.
I have all this stuff ready. It's all right here. It's all readily available. Don't worry. This is how you're prepared, people.
That is hilarious. So yeah, he would get us those, and we would fucking like we were like, dude, we gave you a 20. You owe us money. What the fuck is this shit? We're not gonna get drunk. Like, I don't know what you think we are. We're not babies.
Yeah,
like this.
You bought a $4 bottle of MD 2020, and you owe me $16. Like,
yeah, motherfucker, you're stealing our money, man.
Yeah.
And he would play it off like, hey, I'm taking all the risk here. Like,
it's
you
know
tax.
What? Shut the fuck up. It's a tax. Yeah.
Shut the fuck up.
Dad tax.
Let's talk a little bit about bum wine, man. I gotta know, what is the best tasting bum wine you've had, and what is the worst tasting bum wine you've ever had?
Well, the best ones, I would have to say, are probably, as we were just talking about, the varieties of MD 2020. I mean, you have different flavors of that, like your blue raspberry, your orange. They have a pineapple one now. And some of those are actually pretty tasty to drink. Those are at 13%, so they're a little less than like your night train over here. So those are always good to drink. I mean, well, good to drink. The amount of
sugar in those motherfuckers are probably insane.
Right. You shouldn't really be drinking a whole bottle yourself at all.
Like instant diabetes.
Yeah, if you're doing it to share with people, you pass it around, or you're gonna mix something with it. That's probably your best bet.
Yeah.
But there's the other ones like, have you ever had Cisco?
No, I know what it is.
Okay. Yeah, that's the one that is like the extreme bum wine that was like Four Loko was, the original Four Loko was killing people when that was out because of the alcohol and the caffeine.
Yeah.
And that was in like the mid to late 2000s. In the early 90s, you can find stories about Cisco being a similar thing because of how the bottle was. People were mistaking it for a wine cooler. It looked like a Bartles and James type drink, and a wine cooler is like 4 or 5%. I mean, there's nothing to the alcohol in a wine cooler, but a bottle of Cisco is at 17%.
Jesus.
So people were drinking these down. Now, I don't know how you could really drink, because you can't drink it like a wine cooler. It's definitely a totally different taste to it. You'll taste the alcohol in it, but some of those, like there's a green apple one that was a really raunchy flavor, and especially
I can see the flashbacks in your eyes, bro. You're like, ah.
Yeah, and I tried to document as much of this stuff as I could at the time, because a lot of these have been discontinued, like the Night Train and Thunderbird. They were discontinued maybe 5-6 years ago, so they're not readily available. If you get lucky and you can find that golden goose on the shelf at a store that's covered in dust, make sure to pick it up, because you might not see it again. I mean, you know, you go into some shady spots, you go searching, and that's what me and my buddy Roadhouse always say. We say, go in searching the bottom shelf, because you never know what you might find, that there's this one lonely bottle that's been sitting there covered in dust for years, and it's out there waiting for you. And the same thing with Cisco, that's been discontinued. MD 2020 is still out there. They're still going strong out there. They actually came up with a new flavor earlier this year, a spiked flavor, which was like, it's just they called it spiked, and I was thinking like a spiked like tea. Like, you think spiked, a lot of times you think like an Arnold Palmer or like a hard iced tea type, like a Mike's Hard. I don't know, that's what I thought when they said it was MD 2020 spiked. But it's essentially just a sweeter red wine, and it's not bad. It just wasn't what I thought it was going to be going into it. So they're still going strong with that stuff. But
it's wild to me. With inflation, their profit margins had to be getting smaller and smaller, and their main people buying this shit is like bums and like super poor people.
Yeah.
You know, so it's like, or like 21-year-olds who can't
cheap,
really afford anything.
Exactly.
You know?
Yeah. Yes, it's the best bang for the buck.
Yeah, I mean, dude, even at 13% with Mad Dog, I mean, most especially like white wines, most of them, aren't cracking 11-12%. Most of them are
it's on
lower
point.
than
It's on point. It's not too crazy for a 13% MD 2020. compared to your regular bottle of wine. I think these just have a lot more sugar and additives to them compared to a regular bottle of white wine.
So, tell me a little bit about, obviously you do this podcast and you drink. Has there ever been a time where you got fucking super loaded?
Well, there have been some. Yes, there have been some, and where we did the on the Cisco line last year or the year before, we did the Snoopy special, which was a 40 of I think I did an Old English, but you can use any 40 you want. You want Colt 45, whatever malt liquor. You drink it down to about the label, and then you pour in a bottle of Cisco into it. So we did Cisco Berry in there, so you get a nice purple green tint to your malt liquor with that. And I remember that one was one that was very was feeling that one. I mean, there's definitely been a lot of episodes of I've never thrown up during an episode. After, yes, as I said the other night, but
that's wild, dude. Yeah. I mean, so when I started this, I was streaming video games, and I've talked about this before, but I make my own margaritas. I call them Robberitas, and it's literally just it's a cup of tequila, half a cup lime juice, half a cup of triple sec alcohol, and you can't have, like, if you have 3, you're gonna black out. 2, you brown out. 1, you catch a really nice buzz. And I didn't follow my own rules, and I think I hit 3, or I was drinking the third one, and I was streaming. Like, I was live, I was gaming with my buddies, and I just said, hey, I gotta pee, and I got up. I didn't need to pee. I took my pants off, I went around my green screen, and I just face planted into my bed and went to bed. Like, there was nothing to it. Yeah. And so my buddies know my fiance, so they're like sending her messages and calling her like, we think Rob died, because my stream was up. I was live for another 13 hours.
Just empty. Yeah, just an empty chair.
Just an empty chair. I don't even know what game was on. I don't know. I was just I think with how I am now, I have this certain line, and if I cross it, I just go to sleep. Like, I don't even function. Like, when I was in my 20s and I got drunk, I would have a whole fucking night that I don't remember, you know? But then, like, it's like as soon as you hit 30, I hit that line, and I'm like, I just go to sleep. There's no, like, I don't remember what happened. It's, I went to bed.
Right, know? Exactly. That point where you wouldn't remember was that you just went to bed. It wasn't, we're going out, we're doing this, we're doing that. And, yeah, like I said, I've been there too. Yeah, back in the day when you'd be out there and you'd just be drinking, and you wake up the next day, be like, what did we do last night? And it's like, oh, yeah, you did this or you did that. You're like, I have no idea.
You're like, no fucking idea that I did that. Dude, the one time I fucking drove home, this was like peak, I think I was 23 maybe. This was like peak Thirsty Thursday where we're fucking going out. And this bar that we used to go to had a Thirsty Thursday special, and it was a silver coin night. So you could just bring a stack of nickels. And I was working at GameStop at the time, so I would take a $2 roll of nickels. I'd put $2 in, take $2 roll of nickels, and I'd go to the bar, and it was bottom shelf shit. So, you know, it was just, you want a rum and Coke, it's bottom shelf rum, whatever. But it was a nickel. So I'd get there at 7. I think it started at 7, and by 10 o'clock I'm obliterated because I've had 30 drinks, and I haven't even spent $2.
That's the way to do it. That's it.
Yeah, but Uber didn't exist then. Right? So, like, the one time I drove home, man, and It was the scariest fucking thing ever. I had to cover my one eye to see so I didn't see double.
Yeah.
And I'll never forget that shit. I'm like, I never fucking did that again. But like, you know, I'm at an age where like that's just kind of Uber didn't exist. Now I Uber everywhere. Like if I'm gonna have one beer, I'll Uber.
Right. Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
But it was either you took a taxi and it cost $300, or you drove yourself. Like those were your options.
Right.
And if
right.
you're a
or you
23-year-old
hope.
kid,
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Or you hope you had that one friend that didn't drink and would drive you guys.
I didn't have that friend.
Yeah, it's tough because it was like, same for my friends. It was like, okay, who's the one that's driving this time? It's like, nobody wants to raise their hand to be the one that's like, okay, I'll have one drink. The next thing you know, you look over, it's like, hey, weren't you DDing tonight? He's out there doing shots. You're like,
yeah.
Oh, well, that's not going to end well.
Well, the joke for me was I was the best DDD. It was the designated drunk driver.
Yeah,
And,
I was going to say, that's like in the Hangover. It was like, Phil was always our designated drunk driver.
I was good, man. I was good for a while, and then of course, you know, I unfortunately got a DUI at some point.
Yeah, so then that kind of kicks you in the butt at that point. You're like, okay, shit.
I hit a checkpoint. I was fine. It was my birthday. I took 2 shots and I had a beer in like a 5-hour stretch, and I blew a .081, and it fucked me up. I didn't have to like go to jail or any of that shit, but I had to pay $2,000. I got a fucking it was on my record for a while. I had to get, I've never been in trouble in my entire life, you know. I was a good kid, so it was it wasn't fun. So like, you know, obviously you learn your lesson when you're in your 20s.
Exactly, yeah.
Shit happens. I mean, now I think it's a lot more rough. Like if you get hit with even just a regular DUI, I think everything's getting even more and more strict. You know, but I paid my dues.
yeah, you paid your dues, you learned your lesson, and you're like, okay, well, I'm not doing that again. So, okay, if I got to go somewhere and I'm drinking, okay, I'll find a way to get there. Then you don't have to worry about anything.
Hey man, if it's $50 and it's, you know, a round trip's $100, yeah, I mean, it sounds like it's a lot cheaper than fucking being, you know, in a cell and paying $2,000. And I mean, it's just, I think until you fucking go through that shit, it's, you know, you kind of you learn it that way. But tell me a little bit about your Battle of the Boobs. I was going through some of your different March Madness style Battle of the Booze events.
Yeah, Battle of the Booze, man. Yeah.
24 was old E800, which I go way back.
I was gonna say,
with.
I had the. This one, let's see. I have all this random shit here. You see, this is what I mean, you can see. I mean, this is just like, and this is even from like 2 months ago at this point, because luckily this was the plastic 42s, which now the glass 40s are back for Old English and for Steel Reserve. So
they put that shit in plastic.
Yeah, they had for 10 years.
What?
You didn't know this, man?
I had no idea.
Yeah, so in 2014, with a lot of the 40s that were made by Miller Coors, who distributes them, they were putting the 40s in plastic bottles for whatever reason. I guess it's probably cheap. I mean, it's definitely cheaper to do it in plastic than glass. So they switched everything from glass 40s to plastic, and essentially since day one, people were complaining. And when I know all these people that are big malt liquor enthusiasts, I'm in groups on Facebook, I'm on forums, and all we did for the past 10 years was bitch and complain, saying, hey, plastic sucks, bring back the regular glass 40s. And nothing. They would kind of tease things, because originally they had Mickey's was in plastic, that came back to glass, and people were like, okay, this is great, we're on our way back, it's coming back. But then they switched it. They went from 40s in plastic, then they said, oh, we're doing this 42-ounce gimmick where we'll give you the extra 2 ounces of malt liquor. And I was like, we don't care. 2 extra ounces. Who gives a shit? Just give us.
By the time you get to that 2 ounces, it tastes like fucking piss.
Exactly. You're
like
right. You're down
piss.
here. Right. Exactly. You got that. If you're not drinking it that quick, it's that warm swill down there at the bottom. So last year, there had been rumors that glass 40s were coming back, and sporadically throughout the country, people were seeing them show up. And we're waiting, and then it was about the middle of April, I think, that people started to say, I went to my local store, the glass 40s were back. And they started showing up. I was going out there searching. I did some intel. I found people. I was out in Pennsylvania, out in like the Hershey area, back in the end of April. And on my way back, I stopped at some stores and I found glass Steel Reserve. And then about a week or two later, I found the glass Old English. So it's officially back. Don't worry, the plastic drama is over. The glass 40s have returned. So it came after
wild.
it came after this year's battle. During this year's Battle of the Booze, that yes, the Old English won. We still had to drink the plastic, but now the glass is back.
It's hard to explain to people why the glass is that much better. Like, I'm a big, I love Captain Morgan. That's like my number one spirit that I love to drink. That's like what I drink here at home. Like, I'll drink, Diet Coke and Captain.
Yeah.
And apparently they had a glass shortage for like 8 months. So they actually went to plastic handles for, I'm pretty sure it was like 8 months. And I actually I had a glass one here, and the wifey's like, why do you have this? I'm like, in case it never comes back, I need to make sure I have this glass one, you know? And it ended, they came back to glass recently. I'd say probably over the past, like, 2 months. It went finally, and I don't know, like, maybe this is just me, but, like, don't you feel like the alcohol just tastes better in glass? I feel like there's something about the plastic that does something with the alcohol.
Yeah, no, 100%. I'm with you on that. It is. It definitely from the glass, regardless if it's a 40 or even like a Captain Morgan or something like that. Pouring it out of the glass bottle it just feels better. It just tastes better. There's probably really no difference to it.
Probably not.
Overall. I mean, I guess it's just somehow how it sits in here. I mean, it's just, it's not the same. It's not the same. So, that's just, everybody's rejoicing when the glass 40s were back. And it was like, hallelujah. It's perfect. And I'm like, I could see both ways of the switch. And I always made a joke about it that I'm like, okay, I mean, I get it. If you went into the store, you spent your last, like, $3 on a 40 of Old English, and it's in glass, and you walk out of that store, you bump into something, and it falls, it's going to shatter all over the place, and you're watching your hopes and dreams just drift away with that broken glass bottle. You drop this guy, it's just going to bounce right back up, be a little foamy, but
it's good.
It's still good. And then people say, well, it's not a good weapon, though. You can't use, you can't break off the... So, self-defense goes to the glass. Durability goes to the plastic. But
That's a conundrum. Like, if you're a bum, like, if you're a homeless person, what do you care about more? The durability or the weapon ability?
Yeah, I know. Do you have to shank somebody? I don't know how rough is the neighborhood you're in. But do you want to be
What bottle
stumbling?
can you pee in the most?
Yeah, no, this one for sure. I mean, this has the wide mouth. This is a lot easier.
Oh, yeah.
You see that? That's a lot easier compared to, like, I have, see, this is a Miller Lite 40 I had here. This is the same.
Oh, you got a little guy there, yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, look at this. This is hard-hitting stuff here, folks. So,
So
yeah.
if you're homeless,
this is a lot easier.
Yeah, if you're homeless, I mean, the plastic is almost better for you in multiple avenues unless you're turning it into a weapon. If you're going to shiv somebody...
Yeah, you need the glass.
Glass is the way to go.
This is not going to do nothing. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not going to protect you. But the Battle of Booze, do you have any multiple crown winners? You've been doing it for a while.
Yeah, this was the eighth season, I think, of it, and this year Old English was the first ever back-to-back champion.
Okay.
Yeah, so the first back-to-back champion was the Old English. Colt 45 was a 2-time champion as well. Mickey's Malt Liquor also did another 2-time. So it's interesting. It's fun. We do a 64 beverage tournament. Break it down into different conferences of the beers, bum wines, malt liquors, and malt beverages. And I try to take mostly things that are still available out there, so people can try them out and vote and try to give their own honest opinion. But for some of like the older stuff, the bum wines that you can't find, you're voting off of the nostalgia and the memories you would have had with it there. But every year we try to put it out there. It's fun. It's fun to do it a little March Madness extravaganza.
Dude, I love March Madness. Now, do you is it you and your co-host that kind of come up with all the beers you're gonna now? Do you drink all of them on the shows to go? What's the process like? Do you also have people that call in and vote themselves and stuff like that?
So it has to be something that I have drank before.
Okay,
that's the requirement that I have for it, is that it has to be something that I've drank at some point in my lifetime that has either been featured on the podcast or the website before, or something that I've drank in the past. And then from out there, we put the links out. Then anybody can vote. You can vote. Anybody can just share the links and vote at that time and vote for their favorites to see who will advance for it. Then usually we'll have a big reveal show at the end to see who the champion is. Break it down round by round as we go throughout the tournament. So yeah, so it's really, as long as it's something that I've drank before, I try to keep it honest for me to say, hey, I've drank all these things, so I can vouch for them. It's not just people that just pick random drinks and throw them up there. So, oh yeah, that sounds good. It's like, no, we've drank them before. We know that they're worthy of being it. Because I had toyed around this year of expanding it from 64 to like a 128, like a huge ass tournament. And I had enough drinks to do it, but I was like, it's a little too much at that point. I said, let's just keep it simple. 64 is more than enough to go through and vote them out that way.
Now, have you thought about adding like bottom shelf liquor to your repertoire with the bum wines?
I've thought of it, and it's always been something in my mind that we might do that down the road. It's just a lot. Not that it's tougher, but there's a lot of them out there, and it's like, where do you? Okay, do we do? Like you said, you were talking about the bottom shelf vodkas before, bottom shelf rums, bottom shelf whiskey. There's a ton of stuff out there. I mean, I've only recently just really dove more into the whiskey realm and drinking
I'm with
more
you there.
And more of that stuff. Like my buddy Roadhouse sent over to me a couple years ago, a fancy bottle of Noah's Mill.
Okay.
And that's really good whiskey. And then the one I brought up before, this quarter horse that I have here, which is like it was $25 on sale for this guy that I had gotten. So it's still a learning curve for that stuff, and something I'll probably look more into and trying out new things, because you always need something new to drink. You got to switch things up from time to time.
You want to try a smooth whiskey, dude? And shout out to Bill Harlow. He's someone I interviewed. He's a barbecue guy. Well, he likes to cook.
Okay.
And he got me on Angel's Envy. Now it's not cheap.
Okay.
It's like $60 for the regular, and it's like $100 for the rye version. And I like the rye a little bit more. That's what I make my old fashions with. So I bullet rye is what I have. I always have a handle of that. It's like $65, but it lasts forever.
Yeah, yeah.
But the Angel's Envy is just like a standard bottle. It's not like a handle. But it makes really good fucking old fashions. Like just shit that like, and I go to Vegas is one of my favorite places to go. And I was just there, a month and a half ago, and we were out on a business dinner with a insurance carrier we work with, and they were buying old fashions for me with Angel's Envy, and I'm just like, I don't even know how much they are. They were paying for it, but it was
certainly. I was gonna say
delicious.
it wouldn't be cheap here. But you just imagine in Vegas with those prices, it's even worse than that.
$40-$50 easy.
Yeah, I was gonna say. Yeah, you're not paying though, so
yeah.
Hey.
But I mean, if you get a chance and you want to try some really good whiskey, like I still have that bottle. I've only used on one occasion so far. I think it was like New Year's.
It's a special occasion drink. It's not something you're drinking every day.
It's not my everyday whiskey. Bullet's good. I don't know if you've ever had Bullet, but Bullet,
I've had that before. A friend of mine had that at one point, and I tried it at his house, and that was pretty good.
It's decent. Yeah, it's decent. Bullet Rye makes great old fashions. I have Bullet and Bullet Rye. Those are the two that I'll use for my regular everyday drinks, because it's not bottom shelf, it's not top shelf. It's like right net centered, like 2-3. That's where I like to play my life. I feel like.
It's right there. It's at eye level. You're not looking up for it. You're not down crawling on the bottom. You're looking at the stuff there,
getting dust off of it.
Exactly. You're just right there. You're looking at it. You're like, okay, what can I get right here? And it's like usually like between like the $30 to $50 range right there.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, you can live with that for something you're drinking on a regular basis. I mean, depends on the type of drinks you're making, and because sometimes I'll go down on the bottom shelf and I'll pick up the cheap bottle of rum. Like I like one of my guilty pleasure rums. Like I like Captain Morgan too. That's kind of like my go-to. But the Admiral Nelson spice rum, I picked up
Captain Jerry. Is it Captain Jerry or Captain Jenny?
Sailor Jenny. Sailor Jerry. Yeah. But next to him is the Admiral Nelson, and I picked up a handle of that for, I don't know, it's like $20 or something, and that will last a while, and I think it's good. I mean, but it is that bottom shelf rum. But if you're making,
it's not terrible.
It's not terrible. If you're mixing drinks with it,
gets the job done.
It gets the job done.
I am a snob with rum, though. Like, there's certain rums, like I hate Bacardi. Like I just can't. Like there's something about Bacardi rum
I've never been a big Bacardi fan. I think I have a bottle here of like Bacardi white rum that I think was opened once years ago, and it's just sitting over here, and I'm like, anybody gonna ever drink this thing? I'm like,
if I say give me a Captain and Coke, and someone gives me a Bacardi and Coke, and I taste it and I go, what the fuck is this? And they're like, oh, we don't have Captain. I'm like, then spill this out. I don't want.
Yeah, then I want something else. Yeah. Then give me. I'll have a different type of drink.
You didn't listen to me, obviously.
Yeah, exactly. Especially if you say you want a Captain and Coke.
Yeah.
You want Captain. Oh, we don't have Captain. Okay, well then I'll get something else to drink instead.
I specify my shit because I've made that mistake.
Right, and then I'll do that too. Yeah, for something if it's like, okay, Jack and Coke, Captain and Coke. It's like, okay, you're saying what you want. You're not just saying give me a rum and Coke. Then they're just going to give you whatever bottom shelf stuff.
You're leaving
they have
yourself
there.
open for interpretation.
Exactly. That's just say, okay, just give them the cheapest. Okay, what's the house? If you're out somewhere, otherwise you're at somebody's house at a party, and you're like, okay, well, what they have there. Okay, what are we drinking here? All right, give me one of those, and I'll take that.
Yeah, the house party might be a little different.
Yeah, you can mix your own.
Now I had to. Let's end with this because you're sponsored by Four Loko, so I had a two-parter here. What's your favorite Four Loko flavor, just for starters? And are you upset that they kind of went in with the pressure and pulled their original caffeine that they originally had in their drinks? Because I did have them back then, and they were fucking amazing. They were great. Because you're drinking that shit at 10 p.m. You're like, woo!
Right, you're amped up, you're ready to go.
Big time. They were fucking delicious.
Yeah, see, I kind of kick myself because at the time of the original Four Locos, I was not into it as much as I am now. So
Yeah. I
I probably only had original Four Locos a couple of times. When I was in
Same boat here.
college,
Same
when
boat
I was
here.
in college, did you have Sparks at all? Me and my roommates in college, we would get Sparks, and they were big into those. So we'd drink Sparks more. It would be like Sparks and like a Steel Reserve would be like the go to 7-Eleven and pick this up, or I'd pick up some Bud Ice, and we'd sit there and eat nachos and watch some random ass movie just like wasted.
Yeah.
But so I mean I get it. I mean people always complain, people always bitch and complain and say, well they. And when I was at this Memorial Day party this past weekend, somebody's like, I was wearing my regular Four Loko hat and shirt, and they're like Four Lokos are still around. I'm like, yes, they're still around. It's not like they got rid of them. I say, yes, they changed the formula, but I get it. I mean, you don't really need to mix the caffeine and the alcohol together. I mean, I said, if you still want to do that, just throw like a 5-hour energy into your Four Loko.
Yeah.
Do that, or you can be a Red Bull and vodka type person. Do that. I don't mind. I can live without the combination of the two, especially now as we get older. It's like I don't need to be mixing this together. I'll just take my alcohol and go from there.
I am a recovering energy drink drinker.
Yes.
I drank energy drinks every day for 18 years. And then decided I needed to stop because I'm getting older. So I stopped drinking energy drinks cold turkey.
Okay,
And
good for you.
I haven't had one. I have some in my fridge. I say hi to them every day.
But you haven't done it. You haven't cracked it
but
open.
I haven't had one or had any mixed drink like a Red Bull and vodka or anything in over 2 years.
Wow, nice. You know, I've never been an energy drink person in general. I mean,
I love them
rarely.
so
I mean,
much.
rarely. I mean, I don't. I'll have a coffee in the morning, and I'm like coffee, water, beer. That's like the trifecta of the day. It's like start with your coffee, drink water, try to get yourself ready, and then at night you can have your beer. And go. I try not to drink. I don't drink that much soda or stuff. I mean, every once in a while, or if I'm mixing a drink like earlier, I'll do it. But unless I'm out
I drink
somewhere.
a 20-ounce Diet Coke in the morning. That's like the caffeine of my day.
Okay.
That's what I do for caffeine now. I don't drink coffee. I gave up coffee. I went from energy drinks to coffee. The wifey still drinks coffee. I make her coffee every day. And then I wean myself off of coffee, and now I drink like one 20-ounce Diet Coke.
Okay.
So this,
Okay.
40 or 50 milligrams. I was drinking 700 milligrams a day.
That's a
of, like
lot.
caffeine.
Yeah.
So I've dialed myself back,
Yeah.
and then I'll drink like 100 ounces, 100 milliliters of water when I'm at work, and then booze for dinner.
Yeah.
That's my
That's it.
my
You
normal
got
day.
it exactly. It's the portion control of your day when it comes to your drinks. Of okay, if I drink all this throughout the day, now at night I can enjoy myself with this.
Exactly. Well, look, man, it was fun having you on.
Definitely,
It was
definitely, I appreciate it.
pleasure chatting drinks with you.
Mm-hmm.
Tell everybody where they can find your content, where they can find all your shit, and if you got anything new coming out in the near future.
All right. Well, you can keep up with me at bumwinebob.com is the website where you can find everything related to the blog, the podcast, all the booze we've ever reviewed is out there, and we're pushing the YouTube channel these days, at youtube.com/bumwinebob or search bumwinebob. We recently just, over the last 6 months, ventured into the video podcast world, like you see here, or if you're watching or listening. And so we're trying to push the content on the YouTubes of the world to get that more exposure. But you can check out Bum with Bobcat on all your favorite podcast apps. And we did the Jungle Juice combo. We're doing some more camo malt liquor in the coming weeks.
That one was funny. You guys had me laughing with that.
And yeah, we got part 2 of the camo coming up maybe after this one comes out, depending on when this one's dropping. We'll see. That's why you got to subscribe or keep up with the podcast. You never know what will come up and what we'll drink next. So that's the adventure. We go out there. We go out searching for the stuff. So you never know what you'll find out there. So but hey, just Rob, thank you, man. It was great to finally sit down here, have some drinks with you, and just shoot the shit. I appreciate it.
Yeah, man, dude, thank you so much for coming on. My podcast you can find, it's Drink O'Clock Pod on all socials. Drink O'Clock everywhere you listen to podcasts. And, this episode will be up in a week or two, whenever the fuck I get around to editing.
I get it. I'm the same way. I should really be doing this today. I'll do it tomorrow.
Yeah, I'll get
shit. Yeah, the next day. That sounds like once we started recording video stuff, it was like, if the video's already out there, I can cut down on editing. And I had somebody reach out, because I'll post like the podcast on Reddit in like the podcast forums and say, hey, they do like new episode threads and everything. And I had somebody, reply, and I'm like, you like to hear feedback, whether it's good or bad, from people. And she's like, hey, I'm a female beer drinker, and that's like, whoa. I mean, that's like, you don't find that many when it comes to what we're covering.
Game stopper
here. And she's like, oh, well, you should really, edit the podcast. You had some like dead air and stuff like that. When you're drinking and you're thinking of stuff, it's silence, and nobody wants dead air. And yeah. I'm like, I used to be very, particular in editing, and I like cut out every little like fragment of, sound and all that. Now it's just like, you're sitting here for hours editing, so hey, you do what you got to do, right?
I feel you there, bro. Well, look, man, you have a great night, dude, and thank you for hanging out. I appreciate it.
Yes, thank you. Appreciate it, man. Cheers.
Cheers, brother.
Stormy night where legends unfold. There's a podcast that's breaking the mold. Raise your voices, raise your glass high. Welcome to the Drink O'Clock Podcast. Let's fly. Oh, grab an old fashioned and join the fray. Raise your spirits, let the music play. From the corner pub to the dance hall floor. Drink O'Clock Podcast, we're ready for more. We're ready for more. With a mix of folklore and rebel cheer, we'll guide you through tales of whiskey and beer. From Irish shores to lands afar, grab your friends, it's time to raise the bar.